Hot Springs Village Inside Out is a closer look at the greatness of Hot Springs Village, Arkansas, and the surrounding areas. People, places, experiences. Hot Springs Village is one of the most beautiful places on earth. Join me, Randy Cantrell, and my co-host, Dennis Simpson, as we engage in weekly conversations to explore Hot Springs Village Inside Out. Today's show is brought to you by Central Arkansas's favorite radio station, KVRE. Find them on the dial at 92.9 FM. Stream them live at kvre.com. RE/MAX of Hot Springs Village. The award-winning RE/MAX of Hot Springs Village is the largest real estate office inside the village with over 30 full-time agents and support staff. Visit them to learn more about this beautiful place to solve your real estate needs. Call them today at 1-800-364-9007 or find them online at explorehsv.com. They are RE/MAX of Hot Springs Village at 1-800-364-9007 or online at explorehsv.com.
Have you ever wondered what it looked like to band a hummingbird? Well, the Lifelong Learning Institute provides opportunities like this.
I never thought of such a thing.
We went down to Grays Lake and watched it being done.
Really, to band a hummingbird. It's Dennis Simpson with Hot Springs Village Inside Out. Unfortunately, Randy can't join us today. I'm with Mr. Larry Wilson. Larry and I go back, frankly, quite a way. Larry's a great resident of the village and been here quite a while. We're going to learn more about Larry in a minute. But first, Lifelong Learning Institute. What is that, Larry?
Well, in 2016, a group of people decided they wanted to provide learning opportunities for villagers. And a group of people formed a consortium, and they partnered with UALR Benton. And they wanted to offer programs. And, you know, UALR Benton would be the facilitator, and we would have people here in Hot Springs Village. And that lasted about a year, and a few of us realized that we wanted internal control, not external control. We didn't want ULR telling us what we needed to do. We wanted to make those decisions ourselves. So we, a group got together, and they came to me and asked me if I would be interested in kind of heading this up. And I said, sure. And so we set about and formed a 501c3. And in 2017, got our determination letter from the IRS that we are a educational nonprofit. And since 2017, we've offered a variety of classes to the people of Hot Springs Village. Our focus has always been on Arkansas history, art, culinary, science and technology, music appreciation, travel, things like this. Whatever the people want, we try to figure out ways to offer this.
So let me interrupt just for one sec. So the Lifelong Learning Institute, and the name kind of says it all, but I know from the outside, and I'm thinking more about this, and by the way, UALR is the University of Arkansas at Little Rock, but from the outside, I'm sure people look at this and go, well, you're retired. You're not, you know, why do you want to learn more? What are you interested in taking college level classes for, or that type thing? Tell me more how we got there.
Well, first of all, as you know, a lot of the people in the village are not from Arkansas. Mm-hmm. They don't know anything about Arkansas history, what Arkansas is, much about Arkansas. They just moved here. And so one of our folks was to introduce people to Arkansas history. We've had some good partnerships there. I've partnered with the Old State House Museum, and they provide speakers to come over and present classes. And we've been over there to see their exhibits. And then we've got, there's one thing that's always been popular are culinary classes. For some reason, people, when they retire, they find they're cooking a lot more, and they're interested in learning about cooking. They've worked all their lives. Now they want to learn how to cook. My biggest problem is trying to find a chef that I can hold on to teach the classes. Right now, I'm working with a young man who is he's actually a food broker, and he actually is more perfect for teaching a class like this than he is being, as a chef, because, chefs can cook, but sometimes they can't entertain. And,
Yeah.
not everybody's an Emeril Lagasse. This guy has to go out to trade shows and present new product, how to cook it and stuff like this. And I thought, man, this is the kind of person I need doing this. So we're working on that right now. We've got access to the kitchen at the Coronado Center, which we use, and there's enough room back there for 10 or 12 people, and that's all you want in a culinary class anyway. Yeah. We also have done a computer class, which you've done, you've done 3 of them now for us, and they've all been highly successful. And we're going to do another one on June 30th. And I think, the feedback I'm getting is that people are excited about it. They're learning about it. They're saving money. They feel like they've got some direction in this crazy world of where do we go with our media, entertainment, and technology.
Well, and I want to interject real quick. You've been extremely gracious in letting the computer club, the technology club, kind of piggyback with that, because typically people that want to know how to cord cut or want to know better ways to get internet typically have other computer questions too. So we've been kind of interworking with those and wonderful symbiotic relationship. You were talking about the film and the director the other day, and I couldn't get the time to go do that, but I want to see that.
Well, here's the thing, and I'll just say we're aggressively seeking partnerships with different organizations in the village, because we feel like that there's a lot of duplication of effort. And for instance, we're now partnered with the Writers Club, and we're talking to the History Club and people like this. But to talk about William Dryhurst, who's the gentleman you were talking about, and I would encourage you to, if you go back to the May 1st Arkansas Democrat Gazette, they did a high profile on him. But Michael, and you said
his name again was
Michael Dryhurst. Dryhurst. Yeah.
And was he a producer or director? What was he?
Michael got into the movie industry as just he was a clapperboard operator. In other words, he took the clapboard and did that, and he worked his way up, and he has produced, directed, assistant directed many major motion pictures. He did Never Say Never Again, Superman, Scorpio, Hudson Hawk. I mean, it just goes on and on. He's worked with everybody from Sinatra to Sir Laurence Olivier to Bruce Willis to Angela Lansbury, Ava Gardner. I mean, the people he's worked with is incredible, and he's worked with them for 60 years.
What's the structure of this class? I mean, is it just him lecturing?
Well, this class was a one-off, but we're going to do it again. What we did is I'll say this: Michael doesn't like to watch his own movies.
Really?
He said, I've watched them so many times. He said, I've made them. I don't need to watch them. So he doesn't really watch many of his own movies. But what he did was took film clips from famous films and picked out, for instance, 12 O'Clock High, the opening sequence. And he talked about how the director put this together. We played this 5-minute clip, the opening sequence from 12 O'Clock High. And we did this in Woodlands Auditorium on a big screen. Mm-hmm. And Michael and I on the stage, and people are amazed. He pulled a couple of chase scenes, one from one of the Bourne movies, to show that. He showed all kinds of tricks that they used. He talked about how, in action films, the reason they use stunt doubles is you didn't want to hurt the primary actor. But he has worked. Another interesting story about him, and you should get him on and talk to him, and he would love to come on and talk with you. His first vehicle was a double-decker bus. He's in love with double-decker buses, and he would have brought his over here, but it was too expensive to bring it from England to California. But he is a fascinating character. He's certainly got an ego, and I guess he deserves to have one when you've been there, done that. I mean,
sure.
When he can drop names that none of us can drop.
He's earned it.
when you're on first name basis with Frank Sinatra,
Wow.
you,
Wow.
you kind of been
Well,
there.
and I know this is a one-off. I understand that. And we've talked about, well, I've done the cord cutting classes, and we've done some internet access classes, and then there's culinary classes. But what are some of the other classes? Give me the full breadth of what we're talking about this year. And we're going to talk about where we can find the list here very shortly.
Right. Well, we're, like I said, working on the culinary. I'm working on I tell you, this experience with my wife and her health care has inspired me to put together a program on resources available for seniors from Medicare.
Sure.
I did not know until this situation hit that, hospice, my wife's in hospice, but she does not, no longer do you need a terminal diagnosis to be in hospice.
Oh, really? See that? Whoa. I've heard about this. I heard somebody say the other day that a family member was in hospice, and I was like, well, we'll pray for you. And it's obviously in the last few days. And they were like, no. I'm like, whoa. I didn't know that had changed.
Yes, it has. You have to have, obviously you have to be in a situation where you qualify, but we get a nurse that comes in once a week to check on her. We get a CNA that comes in once a week to help her take a shower and change her bed and do all this stuff, make sure everything's okay. We get all our supplies.
Wow.
We get all our meds. All this is provided this is not a Medicare Advantage plan. This is Medicare.
Really? Just plain old basic Medicare.
Plain old basic Medicare. And I thought to myself, I said, I didn't know this. Just like you said, I didn't know this. And I think this is a valuable program for us to put on. I've just got to find I don't want to play favorites to anybody who does it. But I think people in the village would be interested in knowing, because if you've never been involved in it, you don't know to ask.
Yeah.
And just like you and hospice, hospice used to be one of those things you said, oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And now with that diagnosis, she gets all these services and doesn't cost anything.
Well, and here's the deal, and this is just the reality of it, and nobody wants to talk about. If you don't need it, you don't need it yet. It's a matter of time. It's a matter of time till you or a loved one is going to need something like that. But so like a elder care assistance, we have culinary, we have tech, we have, what are some of the classes we've done in the past? And I know the pandemic has kind of messed us up.
We've done some art appreciation classes. We've done some art classes. I've had different people who had different artistic skills come in and teach different techniques.
Like watercolor or paint or what?
Yeah, like watercolor, like pen and ink, just different things. We've done dance classes.
Really?
I had Andrea Pierkowski came in and taught classes on the Woodland stage during COVID, where she did, like Broadway, they actually choreographed these dance scenes. So
really?
It's kind of thing. And, we talk about partnerships, but I've talked with the players about, maybe we can offer some resources for them. We can have, of course, Michael is available, to talk to them if they want to about, directing techniques or something like that.
Wow.
But,
well, so if I was going to find the class listing and what's going to come up now, as we record this today, it's beautiful June 2022, but I realize people are going to watch this for the next few years. They're going to, so where do we find this information? Where do we go to see this?
Yeah, our website is hsvlli.org. Real
like
simple.
Hot Springs Village Lifelong Learning Institute.org. Okay.
Yeah.
And what
if you type in .com, you get there too, because we own both of them.
Okay. So do we have on-site videos for this or what?
Well, on the website, there's not much on the website right now. I've got a webmaster, and he didn't have much time to devote to it up until here about a month or so ago, and now he's got a lot of time to devote to it. And so we're working on populating the website with, we took some pictures the other day of the class, and I'm going to put those on the website, or I'm going to get the webmaster to do it. And,
well, do we have a video library of any of these other classes, or?
We have not videoed many of the classes.
Okay.
There are videos out there which we could link up if we wanted to, and that's one of the things that we want to do. Really, right now, our big focus is the Arkansas Heritage Festival.
Now, yeah, let's go about that. I heard you mention that the other day.
Okay.
What exactly is that? Let's go from the ground up.
Lifelong Learning Institute decided last year, let's have a Heritage Festival. And we started doing some research and figured out that nobody's ever had a Heritage Festival in Arkansas before, a statewide Heritage Festival. So I sharpened up my pen and shoot off a grant request to the Division of Arkansas Heritage. And we get a grant to put on this Heritage Festival. So last year we put on the first annual at the end of August, the 27th and 28th of August. And we did it then because the grant funds had to be spent by September 1st. The people from Division of Heritage came over and visited and saw the event and were blown away. And they said, you've done a magnificent job. You can apply again next year if you want to, and don't worry about deadlines to spend the money.
Well, so now was the event held in the village, or was it in Hot Springs?
Held in the village.
Was it at the Woodlands?
It was at the Woodlands. We had it was too big last year. We had a picking porch down at Grove Park, and we had speakers in Woodlands Auditorium, and we had all the Washita rooms were vendor booths, and we had food trucks outside, and we had tents outside. And this year it's going to be October the 8th. It's going to be a one-day event. It's Saturday, October the 8th. We'll have speakers from 9 to 5. We'll have vendors in the vendor area. We're going to have a picking porch. Charlie Moore from Hot Springs, who has this Ozark folk music thing that he puts on, he's going to be in charge. He's going to have a picking porch. It's going to be like, going to Mountain Home. We're going to have food trucks and tents for food. We're going to have the vendor hall. We're going to have speakers. We're not going to use Grove Park. We figured out last year that even though it doesn't seem like a far stretch, going from Grove Park to Woodlands is a challenge. And
let me explain to our guest real quick. And some people won't understand or know this, but the Grove Park is like an open air amphitheater, just literally the next block over from the Woodlands Entertainment Center. And the Woodlands is what, 800 seat auditorium?
650.
Yeah, beautiful auditorium. And so is the picking post going to be in there?
No, the picking porch is actually going to be on a stage outside under a tent.
And you said this was October
8th.
October 8th. So it's going to be beautiful fall weather.
Beautiful fall weather. Last year was awful hot.
Yeah, I bet.
We're going to have Friday night. We're going to have a concert, and kind of to kick it off. We were going to have. I was going to bring this guy in a couple of years ago, and we got shut down by COVID.
Yeah.
It's Max T. Barnes, and Max T. is the son of Max D. Max D. Barnes. Between the two of them, they've written over 50 million. I mean, they've sold 50 million records.
Really? So just a songwriter powerhouse.
He's a songwriter powerhouse. Max D. wrote a lot of Merle Haggard songs.
Oh, really? And I remember because I actually did some voiceover work for the radio station and for you to promote the concert we thought we were going to have that got shut down by COVID. So we're glad to have him come back.
Yeah. And then we've got, so that's going to be the kickoff. And then Saturday we've got a lot of speakers coming in. A couple of them I thought this would be interesting. I don't know whether you are familiar with Big Sarge or not. Big Sarge is actually Vince Sherrill. He has a radio program on Little Rock Radio on 103.7 The Buzz on Sunday mornings, and it's called Fishing Arkansas.
Oh, really?
He's this big old Chief Master Sergeant in the National Guard who's a fisherman, and they have this fishing show, and he's just down home. And I thought, well, Arkansas is noted for its fishing.
Mm-hmm.
Why not get Big Sarge to come over here and talk about fishing Arkansas?
Well, tell me this now. Is this going to cost anything? Is there any cost to this, Larry?
This is free. This is totally free.
If I'm a visitor from outside and want to come in and see the Heritage Festival, do I just call the gates and say I'm coming to the Heritage Festival?
We have made arrangements that if you come that day and tell them you're here for the Arkansas Heritage Festival, they're going to let you in.
Really? And just come to the Woodlands, which is on the east end. Typically, it's more close to the center.
We have I have access to arkansas.com. And so that's the state tourism site.
Yeah. That's huge.
I can actually, I've gotten permission. I've got the password and everything to post on that. So it will be posted on arkansas.com. Another thing to attract teachers is that we will be offering Arkansas teachers professional development credit for attending the different speaker sessions.
Are you serious?
So they can get, and Arkansas history is one of those PDs, professional developments. It's hard to get.
And it's mandatory in what, 8th grade?
So the teachers could come here on a Saturday. It's on a Saturday, sit through 3 sessions, get their 3 hours of PD, and they're done.
And get a corn dog outside and go listen to the Pickin' Post.
Get a corn dog outside. Well, we'd have some barbecue and catfish and whatever, some good old Arkansas food.
Wow. So let me follow up this, and we got to wrap it up here just for a sec. But lifelong HSV, Hot Springs Village Lifelong Learning Institute. So it's hsvlli.org.
Yes.
And that will give me a list of the events. Are the events up for the Heritage Festival? Or are those listed yet?
Not yet. We're still working on that. We're still putting on that. We're
probably by the time this is put up, or in the next couple of weeks or so, we'll have that.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank Larry Wilson for joining.
We're looking for sponsors, and we're looking for vendors.
Whoa. Let's go back to this. We're looking for sponsors and vendors. What do we need? Okay.
Obviously we need sponsors. Last year we had several really good sponsors, and now we going back to them. We have different sponsor levels, anywhere from $750 to $1,500.
But now, what do they get out of this? I mean, they're promoting.
We'll have a program, and they'll be listed in the program. They'll be on the signage. They can have as much presence as they want. So we'll have that. We will also be selling booths. The booths are $150. The majority of them are inside in the Washita rooms 1 and 2, and in the card room. And what I do is I get Southwest Design to come in and do pole and drape booths. I mean, these are professionally done pole and drape type booths in there. And we can set up about 52 booths in those 2 rooms, plus another maybe 10 outside. So we'll have about 62 booths.
Well, now what kind of booth vendor will we have? Like food, like canned food?
All right, for instance, vendors we had some craftsmen here. We had people selling jewelry. We had people selling woodwork. Fountain Lake and Jesseville schools had booths here. The Garland County Library had a booth. Garland County Historical Society had a booth. Saline County Library had a booth. Arkansas Game and Fish had a booth. All the Division of Heritage, the subdivisions.
Sure.
There are about 8 or 9 subdivisions under the Division of Heritage. But Stacey Hurst has said, you will be there. So we're going to put all the Division of Heritage booths in one location. So if you want, you want to see what all, like Delta Cultural Center and Mosaic Templars and Old State House and the Arts Council and all these different things that are under a Division of Heritage, you can kind of see what they offer. But it's a way to kind of showcase, plus businesses. I mean, if you've got a business you want to showcase, we'll let you bring your product up and sell it. We had some, I think a leaf filter came over last year and had a little display. And, we have some of the different service clubs wanted to have a booth. The Audubon Society had a booth. Some of the service clubs had a booth. Rotary had a booth. So, I mean, it's a good way to showcase, whatever it is you've got. And they all include electricity. They will all be covered. Of course, the ones inside are inside.
And air conditioned.
Of course, we hope in October the 8th, the weather ought to be
ought to be about perfect, actually.
Yeah.
Well, Larry Wilson with the Lifelong Learning Institute and with many other organizations that we'll not mention right now because Larry's a pivotal part of the Hot Springs Village group. But for the Lifelong Learning Institute and for Hot Springs Village Inside Out, I'm Dennis Simpson. He's Larry Wilson, and we will see you next time.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Hot Springs Village Inside Out, a podcast where Hot Springs Village, Arkansas is the star. Please subscribe to the podcast. You can do that by visiting our website, hsvinsideout.com, and tell a friend.